Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And good to have you on with us. And we, as usual, will say hello to a few friends. And we love having you guys on. And okay, Michael Norland, you're up number one this morning. Andrea, Sandy, how is ya? And Brahim, good morning to you. Janice from Brampton, good morning. John, how are you? And Fran, Orangeville. Nellie. And Kevin, Oshawa, good morning. And Vanda, how are you? Brahim, I know, I see you. And Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And, I didn't see that one. David, Ridgeway. Phyllis, how are you? Jeanette, our staff. Wendy, Markham. And Catherine, how are you? Nativity, good to have you on with us. Dave from Muskoka. Karen, good morning to you. And Deb from Timmins, Lorraine, Sudbury. We're hitting the north here. Dave from Gilmore. Shirley, good morning from Newfoundland. And Linda, oh, those Lindas, Chatham. Another Dave from Cardiff. And Brahim said, nice to be seen. Rosalinda from the Kidneys of Canada, Niagara Falls. Margie, Kansas. Sandy and Carol Wheatley. And Francis from Vaughan. Tom, good morning. Eileen, Brampton. Anna, Manitoba. Karen, Sue, St. Marie. Kitty, how are you? Kelowna. Rita, good morning from Wasaga. No swimming anymore. Luella. And Maureen from Penticton, British Columbia. Okay, couple of more guys. Gary, Frosty Bolton. Cheryl, how are you? And Wendy, good morning. Another Wendy out there. And Milika, Stouffville. Sharon, a beautiful day in Kansas. And Lorraine, how are you? And Donna from Newfoundland. One more. Kristen, Saskatchewan. Okay, so what are we doing this morning? I want to bring to you a new study, and then we're going to focus in on this. Okay? This I found fascinating. Okay? I found this fascinating. 100 patients with glaucoma. They did a study. They had 100 patients with glaucoma. Okay? And only one out of 100. It's easy when you get 100 people to tell you what percent that is, right? 99% of the people who had glaucoma, 99% had at least one biomarker of metabolic disease. Okay? What are the ramifications of that? I want you to think about that for a minute. Okay? So you take 100 people with glaucoma. They did the metabolic testing on them. What did they do? Blood pressure, blood sugar. Again, not crazy high, maybe, slightly elevated. High triglycerides and low HDL cholesterol, belly fat. I add, here's what I add. They didn't do it in this study. I add high levels of uric acid, another biomarker, and low levels of vitamin D. Okay? So those are the biomarkers for metabolic disease. Now, when they did these 100 patients, only one didn't have what we call metabolic syndrome. You know, when I talk about 93% of the population, I go over that all the time. There's only 7% of the entire population that doesn't have any form of metabolic syndrome, metabolic disease, or the start of disease, okay? Because one thing about measuring metabolic syndrome is this is before chronic disease hits. Now we have glaucoma here, okay? Glaucoma. And the problem is sugar. And like I say all the time, sugar is so toxic. Your body knows it. The world out there doesn't know it because they still talk about sugar in moderation. You'll still hear even gurus that I know that will tell you that sugar in moderation is all right. Well, your body doesn't agree with that because your body is dedicated to getting sugar out of your bloodstream. Dedicated to it. Okay? And I got this little thing. I've done it in the past, but I did it again, okay? So you guys can see this, okay? Sugar, okay? So sugar is an enemy, okay? And we're going to go over, obviously, in the eyes. This new study is confirmed what I've been telling you in the past. Anything in your eyes, guys, has to do with circulation. The first thing that sugar does, it destroys blood vessels. Ask a diabetic. Eyes, diabetic. They get diabetic retinopathy, they get glaucoma, they get cataracts, at a much higher rate than the rest of the population. But again, I'm talking about sugar downstream. Okay? Sugar downstream. What does it affect? Okay, so let's go over this. Not that we haven't gone over this before, but I think it's important to do it. Because sugar is destructive. It's destructive to your eyes. The first thing that sugar does, it destroys capillaries. The little attachments, the microscopic attachments between your arteries and your veins. They're called capillaries. They're so tiny that red blood cells have to go in single file like they go through and they're in single file to go through a capillary. That's how small they are. But sugar destroys capillaries. It starts there. That's why the eyes, guys. That's why the eyes. Like we all know, like I got it here, okay? Is there anybody that doesn't agree with this statement? What does sugar do with teeth? Cavities. Right? I mean, even in the 1950s, I knew that. Sugar in cavities. Brush your teeth. Okay? Sugar destroys teeth. Yeah. Every dentist knows that. And they give you a lollipop on the way out to kids. Oh, here, you were good. Here's a lollipop. After they filled their cavity, and they send them out with a lollipop. Like, are you kidding me? Okay? But there ain't a dentist in the world that doesn't know that sugar destroys your teeth. Okay? So we know that. Well, it destroys your eyes. According to this study, 100 cases of glaucoma, random, and they did their biomarkers. And they said, there was only one out of 100 that didn't have any biomarkers, negative biomarkers for a metabolic syndrome. Well, that ought to tell us something. The world doesn't look at that, but we're looking at that because it's so important. And I know I'm a broken record, but it goes on and on and on and on. Okay, so let's just talk about it. Why don't we do it? Again, just for a refresher. Okay, I wrote it out here. Eyes, glaucoma. Okay, but diabetic retinopathy, cataracts. Okay, and because of blood supply. Now, second, I got here, sugar is toxic to cells. Cancer. Look, cancer is complex. Okay? But cancers are renegades. Cancer cells can't be controlled. Okay? They're sort of like kamikaze pilots. And they're very destructive. And they start to proliferate. They start to multiply. And I can guarantee you one thing, and I've been saying this for 50 years. This morning, in your body, you're listening here today, in your body, you got cancer cells. You've got cells that are cancerous. But you also have an immune system. Your body is dedicated to keep you away from cancer cells. They know what to do. They know how to detoxify that. And you have an immune system that, if it's firing on all cylinders, will protect you. But one thing you don't want to do is feed cancer cells. And I know it's complex. I understand that. But everybody agrees with this, that you can't even, there's a PET scan dedicated to detecting cancer, and it don't even work without glucose, without sugar. Well, the manufacturers and the people that develop the PET scan, and it ain't for your pets. That type of imaging for cancer, it doesn't matter where it is in your body. Give them a cup of glucose or even intravenously glucose, and sugar goes right to those cells. Right to them. And you light up like a Christmas tree if you have cancer from your brain to your toes. That ought to tell us something. Isn't it crazy? Guys, I think about this for 1 minute. And it just shows you I hate to use the word, but I'm going to use it, ignorance. It shows you the ignorance of medicine and nutrition. The ignorance. Oncologists, they don't take 5 minutes of nutrition because they don't see the association. I remember talking to an oncologist and saying, seriously, it was like I would do to you guys if you were new to my audience and say, this is day one for you. Let me start. Sugar and cancer. Okay? I remember talking to an oncologist. I said, well, how does a PET scan work? With sugar? Yeah. And yet, you send your patients, you got a Tim Hortons go have a carrot muffin with 8 teaspoons of sugar. Go have a donut with about 4 teaspoons of sugar. Or here's some Ensure on the way out. You're taking cancer treatment, so here's some Ensure Well, that's going to ensure that your cancer grows. Oh, here's some boost. That's going to boost the cancer. But they don't see the association. Nobody taught them. No, they don't even think about it. Food and what's food got to do with cancer? And it's not even in their equation. It's not part of their narrative. It's nothing. Like to them, what kind of a system do we have in 2024 that any physician wouldn't take 500 hours of nutrition in medical school? But they don't see the connection. They've been so taken over by the pharmaceutical companies, big pharma. They put their teeth into medical schools, and now, I done teaching with natural medicine, taught that for many years. For physicians in postgraduate to take nutrition. It's like the light comes on for them. Holy moly. Right? Holy moly. And they go, how come I was never taught this in medical school? Something so important as food, and food as medicine. Wasn't it refreshing yesterday to hear a pharmacist where the light came on? Wasn't it? The light comes on and they go, oh, you know, there's a real connection between food and disease, right? Yeah. Hello. And I got it here, okay? So sugar and eyes, and sugar and cells. Sugar and cells. Yeah. Renegade cells. Cancer cells are renegades. They don't listen to anybody. Okay? But you got to have it. You have to have your immune system, guys. That's why I'm so big on that. Look, you're never going to you're not going to achieve perfection. Not on this planet, you're not. You're not going to achieve perfection. Even when there's no, let's say you take sugar out of your diet. If you did nothing else and did that, wow, you deserve 10 high fives. Why do you think, guys, that the reset is so stinking good for you? No sugar. I mean, it does a lot of other things, but it's no sugar. Cancer, listen to me. I know people, I got asked this yesterday. Read an article someone did. And, you know, I want you to read, guys. I want you to study. I want you to be interested. Read an article. Protein feeds cancer. I said, well, not in the human body. It doesn't. It doesn't. Protein. Look, I call protein the king of the castle, okay? And carbs are the dirty rascals. But when I say protein, I mean protein and fat in nature, the way God gave it to us. In eggs, protein and fat. And all your vitamins are in the fat. All your amino acids are in pretty well in the fat of an egg, the yolk. Oh, Dr. Martin, I used to have patients come in, honestly. Dr. Martin, I don't eat the yolk. I only eat egg whites. I said, who told you that? My doctor. Why did they tell? I already knew the answer, okay? But I wanted them to go through it. Why did your doctor tell you not to eat the yolks? Well, that's where cholesterol is. I know. And you can go tell your doctor that Dr. Martin loves them in spite of themselves. That's where all the vitamins are. That's where in an egg, that's where the choline is. You need choline for your brain. So don't be brainless and avoid yolks of an egg. No, but guys, it's because they don't know anything about nutrition. Imagine. Cancer cells need fuel. Then when they turn into a tumor, okay, cancer cells, they're not tumors, they're cancer cells, turning into tumors. How long does it take for a little tumor to be the size of a tip of a ballpoint pen? What's the answer? 5 years. Cancer cells are renegades. And they multiply. But your body is made, if you have a good immune system, if you have your T cells. It's why I talk about vitamin D all the time. The sun. And if there's no sun, believe me, there's no sun here today. Well, vitamin D as a supplement. Have I been talking about that? Have I ever mentioned vitamin D in the past? Your T cell don't work properly without vitamin D, and yet nobody even tests it. You have to drill teeth in order to get, without anesthetic, to get a vitamin D test done. For the vast majority of people are walking around and they have no idea what their vitamin D levels are. They don't know. The most significant thing in terms of a vitamin that you can do for cancer is vitamin D. And it ain't even close, guys. It's not close. It's not vitamin C. Now, coffee's good. The real vitamin C. I read an article yesterday that in Toronto, they saw a case of scurvy. A woman came in one of the hospitals in Toronto, and she had scurvy. You know what scurvy is? A lack of vitamin C. That's how bad her diet was. And they were blaming it on our modern processed foods. Yeah. And, the poor girl was, couldn't afford any fruits or vegetables or whatever. And do you know that there's vitamin C in steak, by the way? There is. If you have steak, you ain't going to get scurvy. Okay? People think, look, you want to have some fruit? Good. Not on the reset, but after you can have some. Okay? Nobody died from eating fruit. But don't live on it. Anyway, scurvy. That's the story of Jacques Cartier. In the 1400s. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what year did Jacques Cartier came? I can't remember. Anyway, I forgot my history. I know the story of Jacques Cartier, though. His men had scurvy. And they died. 25 of them died at sea from a lack of vitamin C. They didn't have any food left. Guys, okay. All I'm saying is when you think of cancer, you need a good immune system. And your immune system will not work without vitamin D. And remember, about 80% of your immune system is found in your gut. And sugar destroys, so I got it at the bottom here. Sugar destroys the gut. That's why, and even gut symptoms, it's amazing. It's amazing what happens when your gut goes 30 days without sugar. You see, yeast, the Trojan horse that gets into your body, don't feed the bears. You're feeding yeast, sugar. Yeast lives on sugar, guys. And again, if you want to talk about cancer, mentioned this many a time. There are researchers out there that believe every cancer is a fungus. It's a yeast. It's a cousin to mold. Every cancer, according to some researchers. I don't know. I'm not a researcher. I'm a clinician. But boy, was I consistent. Get rid of sugar out of your life. You got cancer, don't go within 100 miles of sugar. And isn't it interesting? I could put this out. I'll write it down here. Gut, yes. SIBO, which is small bloating and gas and all this. Amazing when you cut sugar out of your diet. But one of the biggest things that happens is above the gut, and that's your stomach. When you turn away from sugar and your acidity in your stomach will come back to normal, which it should be 1.5. Very, very acidic stomach. You know how you lose it? Sugar. You're eating sugar instead of steak. Sun, steak, and steel. I doubled down, I tripled down, I quadrupled down. Get rid of sugar in your life. If you do nothing else, you've made a big, big, big choice. And remember, sugar is addictive. It's like cocaine. It takes the same route in the brain. Cocaine, you know, for anyone, when you know what addiction is, okay? When you know what addiction is, one time, cocaine. And they're hooked. They're hooked. It takes a route in the brain, the pleasure center, and sugar takes that same route in the brain. You think the food industry are good people? Well, not at the top. Not the researchers, because they make everything. You know, I've given you the history in the past of the food industry. In the 1970s, when smoking was starting its way out of popularity, some of the richest companies in the world were tobacco companies. You know what they did? They diverted their wealth to the food industry, and they brought all their scientists with them. You know what they were? They were addiction scientists. They knew how to make addicts, and they were liars, pants on fires. They lied to the world. You can actually go watch movies and documentaries on the tobacco industry. They knew it was addictive. They lied, said, no, it's not. It's not addictive. Right? Well, you ask a smoker today. You go to the hospital, they're outside smoking because they don't let them smoke inside. They go outside. It can be 20 below. They're still outside. They're not addicted. Are you kidding me? Well, you see, the food industry, it was taken over generally by the tobacco industry. All those scientists got jobs in the food industry. Okay, let's make addicts. Did they ever do a good job? Right? My name is Tony and I'm a carboholic. You know how many million? Well, if you're in 93% of the population are carboholics. That's metabolic syndrome. Crappy foods. Sugar-laced foods. Not getting better. Not getting better. Well, I had a whole, I only got to eyes, cells, teeth, gut. I got a lot more that I wanted to talk about what sugar does. Okay. I mean, this is, to a lot of us, this is just going over the, over and over again, what we teach here every day. Food, what to avoid. Okay. Guys, we love you dearly, sincerely. And Friday is what? Question and answer Friday. And you know how much we love you. Okay. We'll talk to you soon.